I came for vacation, and I never left.
Meet KC Hardin, a successful corporate lawyer in New York City who took a vacation in Panama and never went back.
But you quit the job before you went on vacation?
No, I made a difficult telephone call. I got sick at some point. I felt that I may have made a mistake.
Now, this entrepreneur runs an organization restoring a historic neighborhood in Panama City while working hard to maintain the community's cultural identity.
I can't imagine that I would ever come to a community that would let me in like this one has. I came to the city for a long trip and I met my wife. That is the greatest gift that Panama's given me by far. For me, I've lived in neighborhoods that revitalized but went too far. I just would like to see it not go that far here. I would like to see it have a balance.
Here we are in Casco, Viejo, Panama City's Old Town district. We're going to meet Casey, a former Wall Street lawyer who left the rat race and moved down here to help revitalize one of the world's most historic colonial neighborhoods through his organization, El Conservatorio. He spends his days working to renovate some really amazing, cool, and very charming architecture. So let's go check it out. Hi, Casey.
Hey there, Savannah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to Panama.
Thank you. It's so awesome to be here. Can you tell me a little bit of the history about Casco Viejo? I'm already so intrigued.
So Casco Viejo is almost 350 years old. Originally it was built by the Spanish, but really this city has been built by wave after wave of people coming in every time Panama had a big boom. Casco Viejo is a UNESCO World Heritage Site because it's got uniquely eclectic architecture. Pretty much every type of architecture in the Americas is represented here.
All in this one neighborhood.
All in this one neighborhood.
You don't even have to go to that part of town. It's all right here.
I rarely leave.
Well, I'm super excited to see the city, and I think you're the guy to show me around, so we do this?
Let's go.
All right.
My name is KC Hardin. I live in Panama City, Panama. I'm originally from Miami and I'm 39 years old. When I first moved to Panama City, I was introduced to a lawyer in Panama named Ramon Arias. It turned out that we just had very similar visions, and little by little we started doing things together and working together on projects, and at some point we formed a company. The name Conservatorio represents that idea of conserving. The authenticity somehow really resonates with us. The way that it makes its money is by restoring old buildings and putting them to new uses. But we're not willing to do that at the expense of the character of the neighborhood, the authenticity. We're not willing to restore the architectural heritage, but destroy the human heritage. So that has always implied that we have a social mission as well.
What was your life like in New York?
Well, I was a corporate lawyer. So you can imagine I spent a lot of time in an office.
Yes.
But I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought I was good at it. It wasn't something that I left because I didn't like. It was more the idea that there was something more to do. Being a corporate lawyer is like any other corporate job, just maybe a few more hours. You don't leave until the work is done. Sometimes that's that night late, sometimes it's the next day, sometimes it's 2 days later.
Casey came to me in 1998 as a job candidate. And I was struck with him immediately. He basically came in and said, I'm going to work really hard. I'm never going to let you down. I'm going to make you proud, and I really want it.
Like a lot of corporate lawyers, you go into it thinking that you might want to do something else one day. You just find that you don't have that much time to think about exactly what it is you want to do.
And how did you end up here?
I came for vacation, and I never left. This was late 2002, so it was a year after September 11th. I think that, for a lot of people, was a moment of reflection to think about what you really wanted in life. And if I look back on it, there's some connection between that and me really deciding that I wanted to see if I could live the life that I dreamed of, see if there was more out there for me. I went to a small island in the Caribbean called Bocas del Toro.
Yes.
It happened to have good surf. It happened to have a small backpacker hotel for sale. And next thing I knew, I had bought it and never went back. I fell in love with that place, and I felt that Panama had something that really was good for me.
What happened with the job? Did you quit the job before you went on vacation?
No, I made a difficult telephone call.
From Bocas, and you just said, I'm not coming back.
From a payphone in Bocas.
I heard directly from Casey that he was going to stay. There was definitely a side of me that was very, very jealous, but also really excited for him because I knew he was going to succeed down there.
And I told him I had this idea that actually was going to happen because I had already signed the contract, and they said, well, you go ahead, do it, you'll come to your senses, you know, when you're ready to come back, you know, the door's open, you know, you got your job back, we'll just put you on a leave of absence. So apparently this happens, you know, this is something that they're used to.
How did you make that decision that you just decided, screw it, I'm not going back there?
I always thought that for me there was something exciting out there. If I would just go look for it, something exciting would come to me. Panama just felt right. It felt like a country where if you wanted to do something a little creative, if you wanted to do something entrepreneurial, if you wanted to do something that was, you know, socially responsible, you could find a way to put that all together here. And I had never figured out how to do that in the States. What was left behind, in fact, was stability, was a career that is probably one of the most stable careers you could have. Did I know anything about running a youth hostel? No. It turned out to be something I didn't like doing. I learned later on. For a few months is incredibly exciting. And it's like any honeymoon. The honeymoon always ends. Whether it's a relationship or whether it's moving abroad, the honeymoon ends at some point and you're into the real relationship.
Tell me a little bit about your vision for this hotel.
The building was built in 1917 by my partner's great-great-grandfather. He has taken a special interest in making sure that every detail is exactly right.
And how many rooms are you going to have?
We've got 50 rooms, we've got a big restaurant, we've got dining on the plaza, and we've got a jazz bar, and we've got a big ballroom, probably one of the biggest in Panama.
Can we go take a look at it? I mean, the plans are amazing, but I'd love to sort of get in there and see the process.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Well, this is dramatic.
So this used to be a bank, built in the 1920s, and now it'll be an event hall. You know, weddings in Panama are very big. So what we don't have right now is a very grand ballroom for weddings, and that's what we're hoping this will be.
It's really, really beautiful. I can't wait to see it finished.
Give us 6 more months. So if you'd like to see a great view, I can take you up to the rooftop.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
When I arrived in Casco, Viejo, it was 2004, and it was still a very marginal neighborhood. I saw a place that really had all the potential in the world, didn't have a lot of love at that point, but had a small community that were very passionate about it, and they were welcoming to me, and that was a sign that this was where I should really commit.
Well, this is a view.
This is the way to see it, huh?
Yeah.
From here you can see the entrance to the Panama Canal. You can see the Frank Gehry Museum of Biodiversity being built off there in the distance. Panama is one of the most biodiverse places on earth.
While this whole thing was being built that you can see in the back on the big buildings, did this area sort of become forgotten or like a lost city a little bit?
Panama really started to forget this neighborhood in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And by the time the boom happened there, for the most part, the buildings had been abandoned and were really deteriorated.
So sort of it was kind of as a result of this was this neglect here that then led to people being able to come in and really revitalize it and do restoration, I would imagine.
It started in 1997 when UNESCO designated this a World Heritage Site because a group of Panamanians were very concerned about the area, got together and brought UNESCO here and got it certified and designated. And little by little after that, it happened what happens in these types of areas. Artists started coming, people started coming from around the world, opening restaurants, cafes, small hotels, and it started to take off.
What do you get back from putting all of this into the community aside from it being your job?
For me, I've lived in neighborhoods that revitalized but went too far. And there was always a moment where I was very much in love with the neighborhood, and there was always a moment of sadness when it sort of lost what had brought me there in the first place. And so for me personally, I just would like to see it not go that far here. I would like to see it have a balance. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. Early on, we realized that there was a very similar vision for a neighborhood that was culturally and economically vibrant, but didn't lose its authenticity. But the question is, how do you do that? Welcome to Canal House.
It's the nicest bed and breakfast I've ever seen. We're out of the city.
We are going further.
This is sort of your get away from town,
this is
relax time.
I came to the city for a long trip and I met my wife, Patricia. That is the greatest gift that Panama's given me by far, and there have been many, but that is the greatest.
It's funny how you can see the ocean and everything, and then there's the big buildings.
And here we are in the middle.